Hey guys, welcome back to Star Super Spa, where I teach you what mainstream beauty doesn't. Now, my comments have been filled with people asking me to do a bronzy summer makeup routine, so let's do that. Now I'm gonna do a layer of setting spray. This is just gonna avoid any of the skincare coming in and mixing with my makeup, and just creating a barrier between the makeup and the skincare and any oils that are going to come out and break down my makeup. You need this in the summer because like the sweat and the oils, that's what kills your makeup. So you want to keep it at bay. Now go in with your base product. This is obviously not a necessary step, but I like something glowy and dewy and creamy looking for the summer. You can just skip this step and go straight in with bronzer and blush if you like. But because I'm going out, I'm gonna go all out with the makeup. And usually my face is not as tan as my body, so I definitely like to use foundation when I want my makeup to look super gorgeous. One thing that I always notice when people do their brows first is that they never get this area here, like in between their eyes, as well as the skin on their eyebrows, and that really gives away that their face is not actually the shade that the foundation is. So I always like to do foundation first, make sure I'm getting all those nooks and crannies, kind of the sides of the neck, down the neck as well. Now we're gonna go in with bronzer, and you want a bronzer that's gonna be a little bit of a red tone bronzer and nothing super warm orangey tone. This is gonna make it look like your bronze came from the sun, and it's not like a night out makeup bronze, even though I'm going for a night out. It's more of a sun-kissed bronze that came from the sun, and you know, you look like you've been on an island rather than you've like beat your face for the night, which there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not my summer look. So I really love the ones from Say because they're not super intense and super brown orangey. They have a little bit of a red tone to it, so it really looks like a tan you got from the sun rather than something that's super dark and bronzy. See, this tone right here is exactly what I'm looking for. Because when you get a tan from the sun, it does tend to be a little bit red, which is why this is just the perfect bronzer. I like to go on the cheek as well for this because that hits the sun, anywhere that hits the sun, obviously, to fake that tan you may not have. I do like to go a little bit with what's left on my brush on the side of my jaw so that it doesn't look like white in comparison to the rest, and a little bit under my neck and on the jaw as well because the sun does tend to hit the jaw a tiny bit. Now I'm gonna go in with my concealer, and I'm not gonna go super crazy with this. It's obviously brighter than my skin, but it still has that warm color to it, and this one does oxidize a little bit, so it will get darker and it won't stay super stark on my skin, which is what I want. I don't want something bright and crazy like you would do for like a typical night out, I guess. This is just natural summer makeup. As that sits, I'm gonna go in with my blush, and I like to focus this blush mostly on the most sticking out part of my cheek, so right here, and kind of like hugging my cheek with the brush, and then going up and down on an angle, a little bit into the eyebrows. Now this, I'm not 100% going for like a sun-kissed look. I'm going for, I put a little bit of blush on, but I love this kind of bronzy, dusty pink shade that really looks like it came from the sun. This is how it looks on my hand. So it's not super intense at all, and it just looks very natural looking, but the placement is definitely strategic. And a little bit onto the apples because it is sunny makeup after all. Touch on the nose as well. I did definitely go overboard over here, but that's okay, especially with blush. It does tend to settle in throughout the day and it doesn't last that long. I'm going a bit in between my brows, so it looks like there's a bit of a sunburn there, a bit on the cheek and a bit on the nose. Okay, now I'm gonna blend my concealer using a brush so it can disperse the product really easily, because I don't want that crazy concentration, but I do want it to be placed really strategically under my eyes to cover dark circles. Just patting into place. And I really like to blend that into my blush, especially when I overdo the blush. It's so much easier to get that kind of diffusion of the concealer and the blush if you're blending the concealer into the blush rather than the other way around, because blush is definitely more difficult to blend than concealer would be. So if you want that kind of ombre diffusion of your concealer into your blush, I really recommend blending your concealer afterwards into your blush. I'm going to go into the inner corners and into the eyebrows just to brighten up that area as well. See how that's just like a subtle brightness? It's not like a super stark concealer. Now, as a kind of deeper layer to my bronze, I'm going to take one shade darker of my bronzer and go in a more concentrated area after using that blush, concealer, and lighter bronzer, just to bring more warmth into the face. And this is more of a slightly more orange tone, less red tone natural one, but I'm only using the tiniest amount. Now, this step is optional, but I do love a little bit of nose contour on a night out, so I like to do a cute little button nose with this specific look. Just really light and simple. And with contour, I always say this, but contour should not be super starkly different from your skin tone itself. It should just be like your foundation shade, but a little bit darker, a little bit browner, and a lot grayer. But you don't want gray, otherwise that's just gonna look ashy. This is gonna be not too far from your skin tone. And I'm just gonna highlight and clean up with concealer. By placing a lighter concealer on the sides of your nose, you can kind of lift the existing shadows that are there and make it more believable that where you placed your contour is where the real shadows are. So that's something I love to do. And it also just helps clean up that contour. And if you guys want a detailed nose contour tutorial, I have that already up. And then after I'm done with all my base products and before I set with any type of powders, I always like to take a little bit more foundation and go over these areas a little bit so everything looks a bit more seamless. And this is like, has the same effect as underpainting without all the drama of using a whole bunch of products. Using, in fact, too much product to then layer and slather foundation on top of it to then cover up how much product you use. I'm clearly not a fan of underpainting, but this basically does the same thing. It's always a little hard for camera to pick up makeup, but I hope you can see the pigmentation that's still there. It's more apparent in person, but again, I like to show you how to look at it in person, not on camera unless I specifically specify. Now, setting is optional, of course, but on a night out, I definitely like to set my makeup. I'm just patting my powder puff so that there's not much product left on it. And I'm just gonna go lightly over here, really lightly under my eyes to bring back that brightness. And I like the matte under eye for a night out. But if I was wearing this normally, I typically don't use any powder. Especially if you don't want to crease. I think powder makes you crease more, contrary to popular belief. If you guys want to check out my no under eye creasing video, that explains it all. Next, I'm going in with my third bronzer actually, and this one is going to kind of act as a dark setting foundation powder on the perimeter of my face and bring back some more of that dimension. Especially in the summer, it's kind of nice to sometimes set with powder bronzer as well, so it doesn't melt away. So that's how I'm kind of setting the rest of my face. Just a touch. And then that also really helps tie in the eyes, because I love to use bronzer on my eyes for these looks. And by using that same bronzer on my cheeks, it creates a lot of cohesion. I'm just going on like the outer V of my eye, a little bit into the crease, just for a little bit more attention on the eyes. Now, you guys know I'm a huge fan of brow pens, but for summer looks, I actually prefer a pencil, just because it gives you a softer look and you can kind of blend it out into powdery looking product rather than a really harsh pencil. So I'm just going to do kind of lifted, a little bit short eyebrows that don't look too different from my normal ones. I swear the camera looks like it really just changed, so I'm sorry if it's inconsistent. But here are the brows. They're like not super done up, not super symmetrical, but that's what I like about a kind of summer undone look. And yeah, I just don't want it to look like I really did my brows like I usually do. Now, I feel like I don't want something crazy intense for mascara in the summer, so I do the brown Maybelline Sky High, just because that's the only brown I have. And not super crazy lashes, but I do like to keep the mascara on the outside. And I have a full mascara routine that you guys seem to love, so if you do want a crazy amazing looking lash, check that out. Now for lips, I definitely like a subtle lip, but I like it to be pinky brown, so I'm gonna go in with my kind of pinky lip liner and blend that out. Let me know if you guys want like a different version of this as well, because I have a few versions that are more pinky, more like night out vibes, more cool tone brown to create the color I want. And then I'm going in with more of a warm tone of brown as well. And that to me gives me like the perfect color. I feel like we could use a little bit more pinkiness, so this is my kind of other go-to summer blush. It's Cosmetics Venetian Rose. So I'm going to use a little bit of that, which is a bit more of a blushy blush than the other one, but it is still that kind of dusty rose that's not super intense. Let's do a final round of setting spray. And then Lottie London sent me this Outer Banks collection little gold multi-purpose dry oil for face, body, and hair. I guess I'm just gonna put some here. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see, but that is shimmery. It smells like, oh my gosh, it smells so good. It smells like cocoa, a little bit of coconut, like sunscreen kind of vibes. It's like how the old brown Vaseline used to smell when I loved it, and then they renovated it to smell like chocolate, which I hate. Oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I've been needing. Can you guys see this glow? Wait, let me hit the shoulders. I've never glowed like this before. Okay guys, that's the final look. I hope you enjoyed. If you recreate this, let me know. Let me know how you like it. If you were looking for something different and you want to see that, let me know and I'll try and create that as well, because I do have a second summer look that's more, I want to say European holiday. I feel like this is very like beachy holiday, maybe like Mexican holiday. Not that I've ever been to Mexico, but I do have like a more Greece vibe makeup, if that makes sense. So let me know if you want to see that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Subscribe if you like this and you want more content like this.